We are live. Let me refresh and make sure you can see us and hear us. And it looks like we are good to go. So, yes, right now, Patriots Bills. People are watching that game. And hey, Dolphins trying to sneak in,
Can
winning a
they?
couple of games.
Can they?
They're in the hunt.
Oh, nice,
So
nice.
this game actually does affect the Finns in some way, but
So who needs to lose?
I think I need Patriots to lose actually.
Because they're
But they
like
would need to lose both to Bills.
against Bills,
Yeah.
which Bills can potentially beat them. They're the one in that division, right?
Yeah. Right now, man, this game is ugly. It's just cold and passes are
Yeah.
whack and anyways, let's see who's here. I know it takes a while. Mondays to get going. Wednesdays our normal show, but Mondays we like to mix it up a little bit. Talk about
Yep.
some
Yep.
other
Yep.
stuff, mindset and money and goals. So SA, what's up? Patrick, Santa came in early, packages left and right. Demand misinformation in hand. What up? Sneaker pickers, big money mo. Sneaker pickers got the Pats. And on the big screen in Mindset Monday on the laptop, ready to
Nice.
go.
Yeah.
Kaiser,
Put
what up?
mindset Monday closer to your heart.
Rory Matt, Kaiser, AN, eBay Poshman. And we'll see when more people come in. How were your sales in the chat? I want to know. I was telling B that today seemed a little slow. Weekend was on fire.
Yeah.
Took a crap load of packages to the post office and
Man, Glenn was early. I was
did.
so late. Glenn woke up early and ready to ship out. I was
Yeah, I was
still
ready to
packing all
go.
my stuff.
And so it was a really good weekend on sales. Today, though, a little rough. I don't know what's going on. Maybe Monday, people
Got to
spend all their
recover.
money during the weekend. Who knows? Licking three legs. What's up, D-Bay? Hustle and muscle. I'm pretty sure everybody else, especially the weekend, really good sales. I would think. Just keep adding inventory, keep plugging away. We're already a week into December. So usually, 18th to 21st is kind of like the cutoff day. People want to get
Hmm.
things on time for Christmas. So yeah, time is getting there. And the lines right now, post office are insane. So
Oh yeah, I had to sneak in and use the back door for that because it was a really long line.
yeah, pretty normal Q4 so far. Nothing crazy yet. Sneaker pickers, AN sales are on fire right now. Had a great sale. Sneaker travels event outside Dallas. Nice, interesting. Today, we're talking about 5 financial goals that you should pursue in 2022. Big money mo, people buying anything and everything. What I like about this time is the things that didn't sell throughout the year are
Yeah,
starting to sell. So at least, get it out of here. I'm
yeah,
tired of looking
yeah,
at some of these things.
exactly. Like especially the ones that have been sitting, and pretty much at the end of the day they're just bad buys, or we just had the wrong expectations for this product, so they gotta go.
So that was good. And I guess we could probably. I really want to do let me like a goal thing. I guess when it comes to the business goals, this is an article I saw regarding just financial goals in general, and maybe some things we've talked about and maybe not talked about. So I think it's interesting conversations, especially the people that have families,
Hmm.
got bills to pay, and what kind of goals are you looking to do for next year? Some things to pay off, maybe some money to build up. So here's the top 5. Some I agree, some I don't agree. And we'll see what the B thinks. We'll see what the chat thinks. All right, number 1, make a plan to repay debts. Now they're saying 1 to 2 of the following: car loans, student loans, credit cards, medical loans, business and or personal loans. This does mean all of your debt, student loans, credit cards, all of that. Of course, all these payments come with interest, and some interest is very high. We know this. Focus on paying off your debt first. The repayments and interest will keep sucking up your money until they're totally paid off. Paying off your high interest debt makes hitting financial goals and saving money much easier, and you will feel great once you've made the final payment, which student loans for sure. But some of these other loans in here, credit cards, is there anything on here that you're close to paying off or that you're thinking of getting to pay off in 2022, or you're still kind of like,
No. So the only loan I have, existing right now is the one that I took for eBay lending point.
mm,
It's pretty much the one that replaced PayPal. I just took it so I would have a record with them. And that one's a fixed loan, so it doesn't really affect me if I pay it faster or not. That is, no big deal. Cars, I'm not, both my cars, I loan both, they got, I make payments. I'm not in a hurry to pay them off, only because the fact that I don't plan on keeping them.
mm,
So I'm literally just waiting for it's kind of like break even point. If they, take it in and pay off the debt, and I get a new car. I'm a car guy, so that's kind of like my expense. But I think any personal loans of just, you know, I would say the luxury items that, the unnecessary things that you bought, it's got to be paid off. I agree on that one. Um, Currently, we've been pretty frugal in the last month, so we're good on that. So we're trying to move into a house. I mean, trying to move to purchase this house, but we'll see how things play out. Is either that or, you know, move to the next big house, whatever. We'll see.
or okay, we're gonna get into house stuff
Okay.
after. Actually, that's number three.
Oh,
So
okay.
House on
Okay.
Muscle says paying down a house, only mortgage, car payment, only debt for AN, sneaker pickers, only mortgage. Now
Right.
you said cars.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So leasing, buying, what do you do and
I
why?
Well, I buy because at least you will have a limited mileage, right? And it doesn't work to our favor as far as limited mileage. Although I could lease my personal car, um, but it was financially cheaper in the longer run to buy my car. So I usually do buy if I off of it within 2 years to 3 years, you would come out like you were just leasing the car, but you didn't have a mileage limit because usually it's 10,000 a year for mileage. And the work car, it's definitely cheaper to buy because we rack our miles on that thing,
Yeah.
and which is good because you put your miles on that thing, and ultimately you get tax write off for the mileage you drive. So that's the luxury that I'm willing to pay. We still have the Civic that we've paid off. That's always a car that we just use to go around town and stuff like that. um but yeah, it's a car thing for me just because I like cars. So I think I consider that as a luxury expense that I'm happy to pay for, but I would hate paying for an appliance. I hate paying for any household item. I hate it. Like, I hate paying paper towels, Glenn.
Toilet paper or
Uh
bidet. Unless you got a bidet, then.
yeah, yeah. The paper towels, like, I feel like,
Mm.
if my wife just rips a really long one and just wipes, like, changing a rug, like, that's me.
Yeah,
Um
that's true.
so but yeah, in a perfect world, I could choose not to have a car payment, but a bee's gotta have a flaw.
Let me see. Car debt, waste of money, big money mo. Insurance on a lease is outrageous. AK Rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
What up, Armand, Itzel, Ian? Only mortgage and car payment, only debt. Let me see. I hate car payments, but I had to get a new car for our growing family. Is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just paid off my car, and engine blew
Blew
up,
up.
have to go right back in debt.
Right. Well,
Man,
that's the kind of like, unless you're car savvy, right? You know how to work on cars. The problem here in the States is the labor or the service to maintain a car is actually pretty expensive. So by the time you put in brand new brakes, brand new tires, if you take it to a car shop, it's gonna set you up for or any other major maintenance like water pump, starter, or something that is a lot more serious. It's actually gonna cost you a lot. So for me, I would trade off the paying for something more and not have the hassle, because a reliable car usually won't have any issues within the first 3 to 4 years, and you won't have to change tires in those years. So that's kind of like a calculated luxury expense for having the peace of mind and comfort,
well,
pretty much.
Sneaker Picker says buy used and trade in after 3 years. Is that kind of like one of your rules, or do you, depending what it is, maybe you'll
Yeah,
just
yeah.
pay it off completely and keep?
No, no, not really. So usually the best deal is like you buy it slightly used, that somebody probably leased it or somebody bought it and just traded it in, because automatically the first depreciation expense is the thing that when the car leaves out the lot, it could be up to 25% of depreciation. So if you give that to the first owner, whoever bought that, he take that hit and then he trades it in. So that's
Mm,
what we did with a Honda Civic, brand new. For the Honda Civic, that time was like 26,000. And then if we bought brand new, but we bought a year and a half older Civic, which was close to like 21. So the
mm.
guy that bought it, took $5,000 off of the sticker price, and it looked brand new. So that's kind of like that. And yeah, you want to if you want to upgrade 2 to 3 years, anything longer than that, the car values, also especially with the miles being higher, it just starts dipping down.
Big Money Mo, I got 3 cars paid less than 10K for all three. I love cars, but I love making money more.
Yeah, you say you love cars, but it's not like you love you you see cars as utility. That's why you pay it off. But if you truly love cars, there's not much love for the car unless you like older cars, right? But if you like newer cars with all the technology and gadget, I can't pay for a $10,000 car that will have a giant moonroof, LED lights, navigation, heated seats, push start remote button. I can't get all that creature comforts. That's why I say it's a luxury expense for me. And my wife loves the heated seats and the cooled seats. So, that's you pay for it, right? Like that's why we make money to enjoy it, because you could be too frugal or you could be too wasteful. So I think for me there's no such thing as balance. I think the balance is it okay for you, and are you financially able to do it without hurting you uh to grow your business. Now there
Yeah.
might be times that you have to pull back, and there are times that you could enjoy. So I think it's really up to the person. Yeah.
Zapatos, what's up? Says hi guys. Let me see. Big Money Mo, you buy a reliable car at lowest depreciation point, then drive it for a couple of years and repeat. You just got to know how to buy used cars.
Yep, 100%.
So there we go. The Zapatos heated seats,
See,
best option.
exactly. Yeah. Well, especially when you're weather that's cold, right? Or when it's
Yeah.
too hot, man, like air conditioned seats, man. Once you go, I mean, don't get me wrong. I drove a 1996 Civic for what? For 3 years before we got our 2016 Honda Civic, So I'm not opposed to driving an old reliable car, because I know how to work on them.
Mm,
But there's just a point like, okay, should I buy an older car and work on them, or should I just get a more reliable car and go hustle?
yeah. It's just crazy the depreciation on cars and
Yeah,
oh man, it just like man, they just
yeah,
go downhill
especially
so quick.
especially the non-limited luxury cars, right? Like
Yeah.
the Mercedes, the regular E-class Mercedes, right? Like the Mercedes that I own, it was like a $50,000 car. When I bought it, it was 21, and it was
Mm.
only like 4 years old. And then I bought it 21. I off it for like 15. So I drove that car for 3 years, and then I paid about 4 grand, 5 grand. Like I'll take that. Yeah.
Man. All right. We'll have to talk about cars maybe
I
just
know.
on its own episode
Right,
because
right, right, right.
I feel like there's some good stuff in there, and B knows a lot more cars than I do. For people that are needing a car next year
Mm-hmm.
too,
Yeah.
because that is a goal for some people. If you need one, especially if you're out there sourcing,
Yeah.
or like Miles said, your family's growing, you need more room too. Things change. Number two, get rid of one luxury. Most people have a few luxuries or treats they
Mm,
regularly buy. Try to track your spending for a month and see if there any money that is being wasted. For instance, many people buy lunch or coffee every day, but
mm.
swapping a homemade can make a big financial difference. Is there any luxury in the chat that you would say that's an everyday thing, maybe every week thing? I
Yeah.
remember I used to get coffee on my way to work
Mm-hmm.
every day, but
Which
it wasn't. It
what?
wasn't
Okay.
Starbucks. It was like
Okay.
corner store coffee.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
$2.
Okay.
Um, there are the people that Starbucks every day, 5, $6 a day, 30,
Mm-hmm.
35 bucks a week. Um, the lunch thing, especially when I worked at the office, there'd be people that are just like, hey, let's go eat at so and so. And it's like, it's a regular ass Tuesday. I don't want a buffet for lunch. And then not only am I overeating, I'm just overspending.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I was like, I gotta bring lunch,
Mm-hmm.
save money. Any luxury that you can think of that you do daily or weekly that,
That was the thing. That's what when we let go of $6. We call it $6, not Starbucks, right? Because
mm,
every time it's $6. That was the biggest thing that we let go. That's why we bought the Nespresso machine,
mm,
because we did the costing. It'd be like $1 a coffee of whatever. Because I've had some barista training, so I can make whatever they can, but I just need to make it. but
yeah,
but I found out that this machine was had the least maintenance, that I didn't have to get the one that Starbucks uses. That would have cost me like what, 6 grand, 4 to 6 grand. Not that deep, and I wasn't like gonna try to buy used and experiment. So Nespresso was one of the investments where we got rid of that. It's either like, and then it's like, oh, we need coffee, and then now we just literally just wait till we get home to get coffee and stuff like that. And whenever we travel, we actually take it with us.
yeah.
It's not like you can't plug in the hotel or something like that. So you get good coffee in the morning, or you know. So that was the thing. And recently, the ones that we cut off recently is going to high end restaurants.
Mm.
I think that was the thing that we enjoyed, and I mean, there was one time we paid for like a meal between me and my wife for like $400.
What?
Yeah.
What kind of meal was this?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you leave those restaurants saying like, man, that was worth it, right? I mean, only if you had that money, but in the longer run, right? That was definitely something that we talked about. It kind of like ended in November, and I said, we kind of like enjoyed that, and ultimately it's like, okay, that was the moment, like we weren't really trying to aggressively grow, so you always have excess money, right? Because you didn't spend it on inventory, especially when Q. Fifth quarter, Q6, Q5, and Q6 happened, right? Early this year, that we just had so much sales that we didn't expect. So this were like during times that you're kind of like not trying to spend money, but you just had so much sales. So we did enjoy that, and it's not like we regret it, but it's just like, okay, that was fun, and then on to the next thing.
Tax write-off, business dinner, says Hustle
Yep.
and Muscle.
2021, actually, you could write off business dinner.
Let me see. I go nightclubs every weekend, usually 300 plus on bottle service and getting women essay.
I mean, that I don't think you can write that off.
What if it's networking? I'm networking for the
Hmm.
business.
Hmm.
Is that $400 dinner tax deductible? It's considered a
If
employee meeting.
if it is business, yes. And that one I'm careful of, so especially when it's me and my wife, I would not. But when I'm with fellow resellers, stocking strategy, and other business people, um, yes, I do. That's the perks of paying taxes at the end of the year. You get to write off stuff.
1,000 plus Korean barbecue tax deductible.
I
Snicker
mean, on,
pickers.
I mean, only if I'm sitting with and talking business. Because if I'm not talking business, which hardly ever, so most of those things are tax write off.
All right, number three. Building an emergency savings, 3 months or 6 months. It might seem like a large amount of money, but through monthly savings, you'll eventually have enough savings to cover half a year of living expenses.
Hmm.
The future is uncertain, and your life will feel less stressful if you know you have a safety net for worst case scenarios. And I can tell you right now, building emergency savings when I had a full time job was
Is it
damn
hard?
near impossible. Like I was like, there's no way. I had a coworker that was like, "Hey, how much? Like, do you have at least like good 3-4 months savings
Yeah.
worth?" And I was like,
Hell no.
"Savings? Like,
What is
I'm
that?
barely just trying to survive here." Then of course, reselling came in. It's definitely doable. More than 6 months at this point. It's a great feeling to have that there, but
Hmm.
it's also good. Let's say business wise, like if things are a little bit slower,
Right.
if you've been depending on a lot of the stores, of course, like Ross and Burlington, if things are struggling a little bit, at least you have that money there
Hmm.
for savings if the business slows down a little bit. But I think when I had that steady paycheck, though, it was tough to figure out to put any money away for savings. And but for us, I think a lot of it either you have the savings or maybe your inventory
Hmm.
is somewhat your savings.
Yeah.
So there's a or an investment, I
Yeah.
guess you would say.
That's really where I'm leaning towards on. I mean, you've seen me build this thing pretty much, just blood, sweat, and tears. And until to this point, people's like, man, do you have savings? I'm like, what savings? Only because I see savings as a parked car. Imagine having a car and just in case things get flat, right? You have an extra car. And this is during my journey right now. um and I would say if you're trying to grow, you have to use and leverage everything that you could in your disposal. That's why there's this thing called risk, right? The ones that put out the most actually could lose the most or could gain the most. But what I found out in this business is, the investment or the money that I've used to buy inventory could still be more profitable for me to put the money in a product compared to just in a bank.
Mhm.
Just like, would I rather have a mocha, Jordan 1 mocha sitting here in my back behind me, or $150 in the bank? Times 10, I could have 1,500 or 10 mochas, right? And obviously mochas have paid off well. So I think that's something. I think that's what you call like your risk tolerance, right? That's what they call it. How comfortable you feel, right? Because it wouldn't be good if you are living under fear because you don't know where what tomorrow's gonna bring, or if you're just too uncertain of what's gonna happen, then of course you can't function right. You can't make good decisions, right? And the way I look at it is like, man, I have $200,000 of inventory, and if things goes worse, imagine running a 50% off on my store, and it's selling over, because like, people offer you 20% off, right? Like best offer, right? But if I just ran a 50% off offer, no doubt in my mind, I would have 100 grand within probably 7 days. So that's my backup plan.
Well, here's the thing though, is that I mean, compared to let's say you're holding on to mochas or any sort of retro, you know it's going to go up in value compared to yes, money just sitting there, either cash in your hand or even in the bank. It's going to take even longer. You know your shoes going to be worth more. The thing is that before StockX and Go, you're relying on eBay, local sales, and this and that. Now I feel like it's a lot easier because if you did need money right away, you could do StockX, sell it, and you can get your
Yeah,
payout the next day. So if something really did happen, at least you know, hey, these retros are going up in value. I need money. Something happened, some sort of
yeah.
accident, some
Hmm.
emergency. I can sell and get money the next day.
Hmm.
Even if you undercut the person by $5, it's gonna
Yeah, yeah. You
sell.
still sell. Yeah.
Um, Let me see what the chat says. So, how do you feel on that? The chat, or do you feel like I'd rather have still more money in the savings rather than I guess actual product, or
Hmm.
maybe you do at least like 2 to 3 months and then the
Hmm.
rest you're gonna go all in on the products.
Hmm.
Let me see. Sneaker pickers inventory is savings and mortgage is retirement funds.
Hmm.
Kevin, what's up? Inventory is a profit based asset. SA. Solid savings plus a few dozen pairs I can liquidate 6+ months, says James. Let me see. I see shoes as coveted items. That's a profit based asset that appreciate in value. What we said. Um, have any emergency money in case something happened that you don't expect. Big money mo. Got to invest in solid buys, sneaker pickers. I'd rather mix of both. Very nice. I guess my best answer would be to find a happy medium and do both. Armand.
Right. And you have to think too. What's the risk really? What's gonna happen that's gonna require you cash? Like if my wife gets kidnapped and I gotta come up with 10 grand in cash, and for me, I think that's what the credit card is for. If something really comes up, right? If I have a credit card line, like I could do. And medical bills, the beauty in the state in the U.S., you don't even have to pay the hospital. They just send you the bill,
You could just drag that thing out.
right? And dude, that in the Philippines, man, don't work that way. You can't
They'll
even
come
leave the
after you.
hospital if you don't pay.
Mm,
Yeah, so it's just
man.
double whammy because the longer you stay there, the more your bill just rack up, right? So that's what I'm thinking. Like the worst case scenario, what really happens? Like if my car wrecks, it's insured, so I'm gonna get insurance money somehow, or the insurance is gonna pay off my car debt. So what's the worst case scenario? Really, if one of us die, like okay, then one of us get all this inventory. If I break my leg, what's that? Like I don't, and that's me. That's the reason why, like, man, it's such a great thing to live in this country. You
People are laughing because the 10K kidnap. Come on now, 10K says Nick. Danny says she's gonna be mad. You said 10,000.
I always said Lex. I know she's not watching.
Oh man, change the subject, bro. Save
All right,
yourself, says
all right,
Danny.
10 million. All right,
Oh, 10 million.
next thing you know, I go missing, right?
Where's B?
Save
uh,
yourself.
Well, that's the thing that was kind of funny though. Well, medical bills aren't really. We did talk about it in the beginning.
Right.
It is kind of leading to number five, so I'll save my comment for that one for number five. Let's go to number four because this one's going to take a while. Buying a home.
Okay.
Now, there's a mix. So in the chat, off your head, instant, whatever you say. Do you buy? Do you rent? Obviously, there's good and bad to both.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing right now? And or maybe you're planning to do one or
Mm-hmm.
the other. So of course we know, and this is they're basically laying it out for us here. But pros of owning a house: obviously more space, more freedom to do what you want without criticism from your neighbor or landlord, being able to remodel the kitchen if wanted to.
Oh,
Um,
now you're talking expense, Glenn.
and
More expense.
is an investment. You will not make money on your rental payments. After years, you probably will on those house payments, of course, down the road. The
Mhm.
cons: maintenance costs, property taxes. Once you move into a home, unless you keep it furnished, you move into a really small home, you accumulate things. Thus,
Mm,
moving becomes harder. um, Pros and cons of apartment living are generally flipped. Pros of renting, for instance, are that you don't have to pay maintenance costs, your landlord pays property taxes. Moving out is likely going to be far easier than moving out of a home. We know that as well. Let me see what the chat says. So, no wrong answer. Vintage profit. Buy
I
and rent
agree.
that home, says
Mhm.
Armand. Buy a home and Airbnb it. Own and paid for. Nice. Yaroslav. Buy, own, buy. Big Money Mo says rent. So see, we have different
Yeah,
options on here. Let me see. Biggest pro is ones you own, you control, you expense as rent go up, you have no control of
mhm,
it, says
right.
Yaroslav. Um, I bought and it was the best decision I could have made. Rory. Get a rich wife, city boy, this is Patrick.
Yeah,
Um,
I think my take on it is uh vintage profit is correct. If you love the location you want to raise your kids, buy, and if you're unsure, rent, right? I
mm,
think that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Obviously I wanted to rent the maximum I can because overall it was cheaper because I didn't have to pay any maintenance fee. I didn't have to think about any of that cost, right? That would have set me back. If I bought a house and at that point I couldn't afford a really nice house, then if something break, furnace break, I need a roof. There's a plumbing issue and stuff like that. That's added cost, right? Then now you're talking about property taxes too, so that's added cost. Um, and for a thing that I don't even want, truly want. You see what
mm,
I'm saying? Like I'd rather rent a car that I don't like, but if I really, really like it, I want to keep it. Definitely, I'm buying it, right? So that's my take on that, and and that's the reason why we haven't bought this house yet. Because at first, when I saw it, it's like this is it. I want to buy it, right? I was like, basement's big. Next thing you know, we're filling up the basement, and then now I only have like 20 to 30% of growth. Now I ask myself, are you okay with that, Ken? Like, so if you make 500,000 this year, if you max out your house, you're only gonna do 600, or you gotta rent a storage,
mm.
right? Or whatnot, right? So now all of a sudden it's like, man, I'm like having to make a decision. I was like, okay, when my lease is up, do I renew or do I develop a plan on going after a house that I truly want? Which kind of like goes to your situation, Glenn, that you actually custom built that house because that's how you wanted it, and you're from that city, you want to live there, so you went that route, and I think super smart, right? And it's played out well for you. So I think like we're like two of the different kind
Yeah.
of like scenarios here, but both of us are kind of like are okay with our decisions. That like you're not having regrets. I'm not having regrets because if I truly want, if my landlord raises it up outrageously, what's stopping me from packing up and getting a bigger house? I mean, right, with a pool or something like that. But obviously, right, market will play. Right now it's certain areas are high, so yeah, I think you have to know what part of your journey of your life what you would be. If you're trying to settle down, I think 100% you got to start thinking about buying a house. But man, I could move to El Paso. Next thing you know, me and Glenn just get a warehouse there. You know, what are the odds, right? But I can do that. I can literally, if Glenn says like, "Hey Ken, here's 500 grand. I want you to move here." I'm like, I'm coming in tomorrow.
Let me see what the chat says. Oh, here's the thing though, interesting. When everything happened on, well, I'm like super blurry. Let me see what I, oh, there you go. When everything happened with pandemic stuff, we saw people leaving California, going to Texas, partially with rules and guidelines that happened, people that want to follow, and laws and rules, but also at the same time, seeing what your money can get you in Texas compared to California. We know California is going to be super high priced. Um, for 400K, 500K, you can get a damn near castle here in El Paso if you
Hmm.
wanted to. So it's totally different. But I think when I did get this house, though, I really tried to get the money that I wanted to make sure the down payment was right and the interest was right as
Hmm.
well. And it was during a time where it was low. And the crazy thing is the people that got in trouble by competing with everybody else, wanted to keep up with everyone else, and they got into a new house during pandemic time when things went up and everybody wanted to be a realtor. Remember, we saw that everybody wanted to sell houses,
Hmm.
everyone wanted to buy houses. And there's been a lot of people now regretting that move and seeing like, man, that was kind of dumb to. It just seemed weird. Like, why? Okay, so all of a sudden everybody needs a new house. No, they
Hmm.
want a new house,
Right.
and I
It's
thought it
just a
was just
want.
really bad, weird timing too.
Hmm. Yeah. And I totally get it because if you look at it like, oh, it's an investment, 100% it's an investment. But let me tell you this, it's a slow investment,
Yeah. Well, that's what
right?
Big Money Mo's saying because he's saying I could put my money into different investments that's going to make me more
Yeah,
than.
like for example, right? Like let's just say I just start flipping mids. If I wanted to put $150,000 down on a house, and I'm gonna say like it's gonna go up 25% in what 5 years. That's aggressive. Or let's just say I would double it in 5 years. What's stopping me from flipping mids within the next year? And I'd beat that interest,
Yeah.
right? That's why I say it's not really about the investment or that. It's really about, do you really, really like it? And if you really, really like it, go get it, right? Like,
Yeah.
somebody said here, somebody bought a Victorian house and he's a carpenter by trade and it was the biggest money pit, right? And I lost so much money on maintenance.
Mm.
Right? Even he does his work and still does
Yeah.
that. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's always gonna be pros and cons. As long as you're not bothered by the cons, it's all pros for you, right? And for me, it's like that's see, big money will say more like 10 years for
Yeah.
that invest, and so I think you just have to kind of like it has to be kind of like and again I think this decisions are a lot of times we use this deciding this, but I think it's more like the gut feeling decisions. Like,
Mm.
man, this is like what I like, and are you truly happy here? It's like, yeah, if you're truly happy here in a small house, go for it, right? Like even when I was living in my parents' house, even my mom and dad's like, man, we bought this house is too big for us now. For the longest time it was their dream house, and then now
Yeah.
it's like, no, and it's not even because we left, because I still have brothers and sisters there. They just like, the big house, big clutter. That's what they said. There's too
Yeah.
much clutter. So and then now they're trying to buy, build a small house at the mountains where there's farms and stuff like that. So like, so it's cool for them because they can afford it. But if I was stuck in that situation and had to pay that mortgage, and all of a sudden I want a smaller and simpler life, dude, I'd be depressed because you go in that big house and then you're just like, man, I just want a small house with a view. I just don't want to see concrete anymore. I want to see grass,
Mm.
right? So,
Sneaker Pickers had a house for 15 years and it doubled in price already. And then We also had AN. My house is up 50K in 3 years as well, but I wouldn't sell. And then we have Rory Matt. My house gone up over 50K in less than 2 years. So, of course, the location matters, the house matters, all those factors come into play. My house is going to take a while to increase in value. And I had a friend too that he went I don't know, he just got so impatient, but it doesn't make any sense. It's like you bought this house, you've been in it for, I think he was in it for 7 years out of the 30-year loan, and then decided like I need a bigger house, like, and this house hasn't gone up that much. But also we're in El Paso, like it's not gonna go up compared to Austin. Austin
Right.
right now, my brother put in big money down. Well, not big money down, but that house costs, man, way more than mine. But the location being in Austin, it's gonna go up in value a lot sooner
Mm-hmm.
than mine is,
Right.
based on location. But I don't think there's
Yeah.
a need that's like, man, I really need to upgrade this house.
Right.
But if you've been buying, you're living in something for 7 years, and then you decide to just leave, and then it's kind of like you put all this money and effort into
Mm-hmm.
buying this house for what? Just to
To flex.
slightly above. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense that way.
Now, I mean, like that's why, like I totally appreciate what your point of view when you bought that house, because you said like, if I pay it off, I know, because your plan is to pay it off, so you'll have a forever house. Whatever happens, you'll have a house to live,
Yeah.
right? Like that's a noble cost. That's a great cost. That's there's no downside to it, right? Because like next thing you know, like at because you put the enough down payment. Now, if you think you're just renting it, that rent money just paid off your house, right? And I think that's if you look at it that way, and you're not looking as like, man, I'm trying to move to Austin, right? Like you said, so why did you buy that house in the first place if your
Yeah.
goal was to move in 5 years,
Yeah.
right? And you're not gonna get that money back, or that investment percentage of growth, because you didn't stay long enough.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, we all know this. As much as we say like, "Oh, real estate's the greatest investment," it is the greatest investment if you stay there a long time. But if you don't, rather flip mids. You make better. I, you heard it from me.
Yeah. You got different money to put
Hmm.
it into, and for it to
Hmm.
grow rather than just chilling there. And even then hearing like, oh, 30-year loan, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be paying out in 30 years. Like, that was way too long.
Yep.
Just hearing 30 years, I was like
Dude,
getting
third.
getting
That
kind of
I
depressed.
dude, when
It's
I
like,
say those, when I hear those loans, I was like 30 plus 30, 60. What in the world? Like that like to be honest, that turns me off. But if you tell me like 3 year, 5 year for a car, all right, I got the hustle in me in that one. But if you tell me 30, you're like, man, you gotta be committed, man.
oh, we're going back to cars. Yaroslav and Big Money Mo. Big Money Mo says 99% of cars will lose value. Best case scenario, they will hold value and you lose maintenance cost.
It depends.
Depends, I
It
guess.
depends which cars. Because
Yeah.
trust me, trust me, if I just had the finances, cars are like sneakers, right? Tell
Yeah,
if
once
you
you wear them.
right, once you wear them, they're not gonna be like as cool, right? But keep a DS or like a fresh pair of Band 11s or Breads 11s, you'll never lose money. Then you get to flex on people. Jump on the snow, they'll never know you jump on the snow on them, stuff like that. And that's like how I see it. And it's not doesn't have to be super super rare. You just have the right spec, the right color combo. That's it. The next thing you know, they don't make any more of that, and then you have one out of the 200 they produce. You're golden. You got a full card to flex, and if you want to sell, you don't lose money. They actually paid you money to drive it.
And there we go. Straight from the B
Mhm.
himself.
Yep, that the Dodges that are wide body Dodge Demon, they actually go appreciate value, because even the Corvettes, the new Corvettes, people just ordered them and bought it and traded in. They gave them plus 10,000 in trade. So they drove it for 1,000 miles for free, and they got $10,000.
Well,
You
Big Money
can't
Mo
do that you can't do that in real estate unless it's really like you got a really good deal.
Big Money Mo said he's ready for a car argument and he'll be in it to win it. So we'll have to do a car show on another one, but we'll.
No, I'm not gonna argue with anybody with because it's gonna be subjective. You know, I'll talk to people that actually have done it,
uh,
right? Because we can always say that,
we
but
still have to hear. I still have to hear the story straight from Price Assassins on his
yeah,
GTR.
that one
So
exactly that one upgrade, and he actually he's driving that car for how many years now, and he's making money. He actually has two or three cars that have appreciated on him with him
nice.
driving it, so it's not impossible.
All right, so here's number 5, which I know a lot of people can relate to this. I don't agree with some of the stuff in this statement, but here's the last one. Preparing for the next major, major life event. Life events like marriage and parenthood come with major financial consequences.
Man, wow, what a way to put it. Consequence. So
Couples
there's
planning a
in every decision there's a consequence, right? That's what they
yeah,
say.
pretty
Have cause
much.
and effect.
Yeah. Couples planning a wedding shouldn't just weigh the cost of venues, but they also may want to consider drafting a prenuptial agreement to protect their assets. Someone about to get in trouble before getting married.
That's Glenn right there.
Costs surrounding having a child include childcare, saving for college, and more. A new parent should begin to budget for parenthood by reviewing their options for paid family leave, speaking with a tax professional, and getting their estate documents in order. Man, um, one thing they did not say in here,
Oh, based on experience.
not yet. Preparing for your next major life event. What about death?
Okay.
It costs money to die. They didn't even talk about death.
Yeah.
Um, that's also another thing. That's a thing that sucks too. Is like when someone does pass, and then they're like, "Hey, did my so and so
Leave me
grandma
with
or
anything.
yeah, did they leave me with anything? Yeah, a lot of debt. Now you got to pay off certain stuff.
Well,
But I think that funeral services and all that stuff costs money.
mm-hmm.
But that's another thing that as people get older, that some people do plan for
Mm-hmm.
that before they pass, so it makes it easier on their family when they do
Right.
pass. But let's go back to the first one. So we have getting married, which we did talk about that before, as far as like people wanting extravagant weddings and things like that. That's unnecessary. You don't even need. You're gonna go back. You'd rather put that money into something else. That's just like a one day
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
No. Second one, a kid. Now in the chat, how has things changed for you having a child? Is it as bad as this thing makes it seem? I think it's bad if you're not. Well, you can't prepare until it happens, right?
Right, but if you're not in the right mindset of actually taking on more responsibility, because no
True.
matter how you put it, it's more responsibility.
Yeah.
It's another mouth, it's another human being under your roof that doesn't make profit.
That doesn't bring in any money.
I mean, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. It, well, it brings you smiles. Now,
And
does that
headaches at times.
more headaches, really? Right? And and I think that's, I mean, like, I would say that's one thing that me and my wife talk about. Like, okay, there is consequences. One time, like, we had like I was just joking. I was like, I think it was like 2 years ago, and it's like, that's cool if you're ready to plan to shop at Walmart, and nothing wrong with Walmart, but if you just have a nicer taste, you might have to sacrifice some things, right? And it's not even sacrifice; it's actually offset, right? You offset, right? It's either like you want to rock Jace or you want to buy diapers, or
Diapers.
and if
Shop at
you're cool,
Ross.
yeah,
Ross got the deals.
if you're cool with shopping diapers, go for it. If it brings you smiles, all for it. And again, that's why I think a lot of it is just you gotta know yourself. And yeah, Rory, stop with that GoFundMe.
Yeah, people just go fund me now. Yeah.
GoFundMe now. Yeah, again, there's really, and I think that's just prepare your best. I think that would be the best way to put it, right? Prepare your best, and if it happens, it happens. And as long as you take responsibility of your actions, I think that's it. If you take responsibility of your actions and the result that you got, or maybe call it consequence, as long as you're responsible enough to deal with it and not cry and not whine because and start blaming a kid because you didn't become like this because of a kid,
Oh
that's
yeah.
what we're gonna
It's not
have
the
to deal
kid's
with.
fault.
Yeah, it's not the kid's
Um,
fault. It's your fault all the time. It's always the parents' fault. It's not the kid's fault.
um,
That's
no right answer for that one, says Danny. Yeah says stimmies.
yeah.
Um,
That last year was the only time that you wish you had more kids.
AN says I have a 9-month old and I have no free time. I just work and source, but my business is still growing. There we go.
Yeah, it's possible.
Faith Lopez, the only thing that I had to change after kids was not eating out as much. It
Yep.
costs a lot to take the whole family out, even to run through a drive-through. Not only that, man, imagine taking like you had 2, 3 kids, taking them to the movies. Man,
And
movies
they want
or
all a popcorn and a
oh yeah,
drink.
popcorn, drinks, like yeah, that's gonna set you back for just a
See, let
one.
me put this way. The reason why I'm able to afford what I purchase or what I spend right now because I don't have kids and I don't have pets. Now, if I have one of those, I'm broke.
Bro.
I would
uh
I would start a paid services to talk to me.
it's of course Hustle and Muscle knows all about,
Hmm.
you know, kid, and it's something that me and the wife have talked about. Might happen sooner than later. We've been talking about it, figuring things out, what we want to do. Um, but I don't know.
Vintage
I'm not
profit.
getting any younger.
Vintage profit. That's a great strategy. Which Glenn's kind of got the head start of that. All he's got to do is he just got to change his name to Hustler Kid.
When I have kids, they're going to be on YouTube opening toys, getting
Yeah,
that money.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right.
there you go, vintage profit. I like that. Let me see. Let me go back. Full time job, one kid. Only reason I'm here watching this, I need my Jordans. Cutthroat. Let me see. Let me go back. I'd bet what? I'd better buy back my AMC shares. Intramorph. People still go back to the movies. People still go to the movies. Kid make you hustle harder. There we go. Hustle and muscle.
100%. That's
Um,
only if you take responsibility,
hmm,
because some are just deadbeat parents that
happens too.
they just don't do anything.
Insurance is key too. Bill for
Mhm.
mile was 171,000. Faith Lopez.
Mm.
That's the thing too, though. Too, what I wanted to add on for the medical side is, these guys with the hospitals and everything. Good thing Mr. Eric isn't in here. They're charging you random stuff, and then of course their
Oh,
insurance, comes into play, and then like they try to like sneak in different costs and things like that, and then
I
they
feel like they peek
pressure
in.
you.
Yeah, they peek into your insurance coverage and
Yeah,
they make sure they just charge over to just
yeah.
get you on that threshold that you get to pay to.
Man. And so I know my friend, his wife, I think they called her instead of him, and they were like, "Hey, you still owe this much on the hospital bill, blah blah blah." And he had already figured it out, I guess, like what they were gonna pay and this and that. And then she got really worried, like, man, they're what? I guess they not really threaten, but it's kind of like they're leading to that point.
Hmm.
She got really worried and stuff, like, man, I'm gonna have to pay this and that. Already started taking money out of the bank. I was just gonna go pay some of these bills, and he's like, "Whoa, hold up, we don't have to pay anything yet. Figure this thing out, go from there." Because I know the hospital stuff, they're gonna, even for getting like, I don't know, painkillers, they're gonna,
Hmm.
how much do they cost? Like $40 or something for like,
Markup,
yeah,
markup.
the
That's
markup is insane. Let me see. You want family or fortune? Hard to find the balance.
there's
Do you guys
no.
recommend going to college? I have an associate's degree, but don't know what to do next. Is Gabriel? That's an interesting part we didn't really talk about. Well, we did on student loans, number one, but
Yeah, be a really good kid that so that your parents would pay for it. That's what I did.
that's the you. I had to pay the student loans.
Oh,
I would say yes if you know
what?
exactly what you're gonna
Why
do,
did you
though.
go to college in the first place? Do you think it was like a dry and cut decision that like, all right, I'm taking on this debt. I got this. Did you well like, was that your like mentality when you signed those loan papers?
I didn't have a mindset. That was the problem.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I was just in it because I had nothing. I had no clue what I wanted to do,
Right.
and so I was like the perfect victim for
Because
student loans.
that era though, right? That era, I think we were on the tail end. I mean, especially yours were tail end of you still had to go to college to get a good job,
Yeah,
or that's what we were fed, or that's what we
yeah,
were
that's what we
told.
were told.
Yeah, right. And like even like guidance counselor, everything like that, automatically it's like, what do you want to do for a living or something like that. It was never about like, oh, do you want to be creative, you want to make movies, you want to do YouTube, you want to, you want to do business and stuff like that. I mean, even in my class, right, like when we had like a, what was that, a career development or something like that, when they talked to you about that, 10 out of my whole high school, 10 out of all my graduating senior are the only ones that picked business.
Mm.
So like, and then now I look at it, was like, man, like that was like so, in which could have easily been like, I could have been like, everybody went to nursing, where I was from, because nursing paid a lot of money, right? And
Hmm.
it still does, but but I felt like it wasn't considered that they truly wanted that because they want to be in the medical field, but it was more driven on the money. Like I grew up saying I wanted to be a pilot because I've seen all pilots drive nice cars. For some reason, pilots just like sports cars, and maybe because of the monetary gain that they can afford one, right? So they hop out of their plane, they ride their sports car, right? So I was like, man, I want to be a pilot too, because I was seeing like that, and then I was like, I don't want to be a doctor. That's too much blood. They have nice car, but I can't do that. Uh, but I think that's I think college it's good because you definitely learn some stuff, but I wish they didn't add on a lot of fluff to it.
Hmm.
I wish it was a lot
Like
more.
basics and
Yeah, like I had to learn like calculus, something
yeah,
like that. I'm
yeah.
like,
See,
I did that in college. I mean, high school. Like, I had basics on that, right? But like, why would I even take it to deeper level when like I said, basic accounting, yes, I loved it, right? Because I use it now. But I went to a Jesuit university. I had to take theology and sociology and whatever theology class. I'm like, I really didn't need that,
yeah.
so those things. But I think like especially nowadays, I think there's just a lot more option. Which I tell my younger sister and my younger brother, it's like like just take I was even telling him like just pay the college and just take the majors of that course and not even graduate, and just as long as you take all your majors and then just get out of it, because that's all you need to know. You don't need to get physical education and all those calculus, and like just do business, and he did that, I think. But I think they won't let him pursue more if he didn't take the minors.
Well, I agree with Yaroslav. Unless he says no, unless you know what you're going for. That's the only
Yeah,
reason I would say. Like, if you're going specifically for nursing or to become a
yeah.
doctor, things like that, you already know,
100%. We want
then
our
do it.
doctors to go to college. Come on, I don't want you to be operating on me and be like, "Oh, I only took the majors."
Then I would say that. But if you don't know, like Gabriel says here, I'm at a crossroads, 23 years old, because I'm not sure what I want to pursue. If that case, you're very unsure, I would definitely wait, hold on that, and maybe you don't ever go, but you figure out something else that you do want to do and you do like, and
Mm,
you pursue that, whether it has to do with college or not. But I think the days of pushing kids, telling them like, "Oh yeah, college, this and
yeah,
that," I would hate to be, I guess, like in the situation I was in during that time now, because I feel like I'd be way more uncertain. I'd be kind of like in Gabriel's case,
right.
very uncertain because I think even after this pandemic stuff, I think it really shook things to where like what's really needed or not needed. And
Right.
what I hate the most about college is that they're teaching us stuff that they learned, like the professor learned
Way
in
back
their
then.
day. Like,
Yeah.
dude, things have changed since then.
Yeah.
And like, what do you mean you don't know how to
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
this app or work this
Yeah.
certain software?
Right.
It's
Right.
like
Right.
because you graduated in the 80s. Like
Yeah.
things
Dude,
changed.
I did have like an inventory software, and dude, it was so archaic that I just literally I had a really strong debate with my professor, and I actually, well, it was private debate, and and he decided that I was right, so he gave me a perfect score with not having to go through it.
What?
Yeah, because he said if you could prove to me that why you don't need to go through this, and if you have a clear, yeah, he gave me a perfect score, and I have to go through it, and everybody else had to do it. Um, but I think 100, if you are unsure of what to do, I think the best way to do is, if you're not sure on what to do, I would say consider different industries and try to emerge and observe and talk to these people that are in the industry, or even try to get a lower level job in that industry. I think it will give you a better. It's like, and because like that's the true feel, right? When you go in there, like, okay, you go in aviation, try to work in the airport. Is this the kind of like atmosphere you want in, or okay, you want to do business, you want to do accountancy, accounting. Go work for an accounting firm and see what you feel like. You want to go law, go work there, or like talk to people that know this people that are in there, and pretty much interview them. It's like, hey, like, what's the ins and out? Can I shadow you? Which is actually what I did while I was in the in college. I actually shadowed people that own IT company. I love the concept of it, but I thought it was very job feel for me. Although they love what they were doing, but for me it was like, man, it felt like dragging. And that's the same feeling that if you tell me to sell on Amazon, that's what I would feel. Is there money to be made? 100%, but I don't feel like doing that work.
Well, I think it's funny
So,
that you said shadowing because as of right now, a lot of businesses need workers because people aren't
mm,
working.
yeah, that's
But remember years ago, there was like free internships that you would be working for free
yeah,
to
yeah.
like learn things. And there was literally, hundreds of people applying for this free internship, wanting to work for free to get in to learn and network. And now I know it's different because they're looking for workers, but like my brother with the graphic design stuff, there was like a firm that they approached him, hey, we'll pay you more money because I know you've been doing well at this business, and come work for us. When the opposite side, it was like everyone's applying for the same job any way they could get in. Yeah, I'll work for free. Things have totally changed. So I think that really kind of flipped the whole college
Mhm.
conversation upside down as well. Danny says, go to Philippines for college, 5,000 for physical therapy, USA 125,000, same degree, B
Yep.
knows.
Yeah. A lot of people go back. That's how I met my wife. She was living here in the States, and then she had to go. Her parents sent her to the Philippines to take nursing course,
Mm.
and all she had to do was come back here and take the tests and the board exams and stuff like that. And obviously, because the Philippines is actually harder compared to here, so everybody that went to the Philippines pretty much automatically, it's a cakewalk for them to pass the exams here. So
Mm.
that's why there's a lot of Filipino nurses.
And what is she doing now?
She's my personal nurse.
She's reselling shoes, making
She's
that
reselling.
money.
100%. She hated it. She
Now
wanted
she's
to
in
live in.
business.
Now she's in business because her parents forced her to do it. It
Mm.
was the career that they want her to do it, and they paid for it. Yeah. So, and if she didn't go nursing, they weren't gonna pay for her education. So they stiff arm her. So there she is.
There you go. Now making that money with the B.
Yep. And
Let me see.
taking naps throughout the day.
You get that free time. You get that
I know,
freedom.
bro. Imagine that, dude. I'd get fired if I had to work. I'd get fired.
Let me go back up. Brent, Broadway B. I went to aviation college to learn to fly. Life took me on a different path. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You were talking about the pilot and things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
reselling does sound like fun. I just don't know the business side of things, says Gabriel. So it doesn't even have to necessarily be reselling. I think we talked about YouTube and streamers and
Yeah.
things like that too, but it's crazy how there's so many different opportunities now.
Right.
But
Right.
I think I agree with B is kind of like you have to really find yourself to see what you enjoy doing,
Mm-hmm.
not looking at it from the money side, not even from the degree
Right.
side, just seeing what you could see yourself doing at least for the next, 3,
Right.
5, 8 years plus, and it's something that you really love, then I think time will just keep going by and you won't feel like it's
Yeah.
heavy and a job on you and
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yeah, and I think the best way to do that and to get that feel right is to actually try it, right? It's just like tasting a food. Like we could talk about food all the time, but unless you actually tasted it and say like, man, I want this, right? And that's when you actually actually get to do it and spend time to it. And that's what I tell people, just try everything. And I think, to wrap this up in a way is when Glenn said like find something that you truly love to do and is happy to do without money, because if you think about it, the people that actually makes the most money that are happy are the ones that never really thought about the money in the beginning,
yeah.
because they just love doing what they do so much that they don't have to drag themselves out of the bed to show up for work or to put in the effort. You can tell, even professional football players, there are people that are there for money and for the flex. Next thing you know, they get in trouble, but they're the ones that just keeps taking pay cuts after pay cuts. Next thing you know, they have like a 15-year career, and in totality of it, they make so much more money compared to the people that just did it for the money in the first place. So I think that's the biggest thing, because there was a quote that said like the most of the successful people would keep doing what they're doing even if they weren't paid to do it,
Hmm.
just because it was they love doing it. And I think that's the biggest factor. And if reselling's part of it, I've always said everybody should learn how to resell, because at some point there's a lot of lessons to learn in a reselling journey, whether it's accountability or responsibility or it's problem solving, right? That's what we're trying to do, understanding the need, providing the need, and getting paid because you provided that service to fulfill that need. So I think that's uh that's what I could say about that.
Well, even down the road, like let's say right now, of course, you have no kids, things like that. You can do everything you can. You're building up that money. But even down the road, we talked about like you get older and you want to slow down a little bit. You can still resell, but yet a
Mm-hmm.
lot of your bills and stuff is already paid. It's like you get freedom still,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even more freedom. Like, hey,
Right,
I don't have to work as hard, but I can still resell
dude.
and I'm still
Resell's like
getting
resell is
stuff
the
paid.
ultimate retirement.
Yeah.
That's why I say I'll never retire, because I'll just resell.
And if your number one is the freedom, which for most of us it is, because
Yeah, because ultimately that's what you truly want, right?
that's what
Everybody,
we're doing it
right?
for.
Like, because I mean, if you really talk about the people that makes the most money and works the most hours, they're the ones that's like, man, I wish I had more time.
Those are the ones that are looking forward to the weekends because it's kind
Yeah,
of like, man,
exactly. Yeah.
Saturday's finally here. I don't have to go in and things like that. And yeah, it's totally different. We've been there. Um, all right, we're done. Great
We are done.
conversation. Different 5 financial goals you should pursue in 2022. We did run off into like houses and kids and college,
Cars.
but in cars. But I thought it was definitely a good conversation. We'll I don't know. We'll see what we do for next Mondays, but I think there's good stuff there. All right, we are
Cool.
done. We'll see you guys on Wednesday live show. So see you.